integration, the sleight of hand. What has integration done for you? Tell me. If you think it's done something beneficial to you as a black citizen in this country with black kids, black hopes and dreams, I want you to tell me about it because we fought very hard for it in the 50s and 60s. So tell me what it has done. What has it done? Welcome to the Walt Weekly. This is Walter Latham. I was trying to find a way to sugarcoat this because a lot of the material that I do has to do with things that are actually depressing. And besides entertainment, sports, and things of that nature, if you really want to talk to things that impact us on a day-to-day basis, we have to talk about things that perhaps you will find somewhat depressing. But we have to face it. If you don't face it head on, it will linger, it will continue, and it will continue to do and deteriorate our black community, along with other minority communities. In this episode, we want to talk about the need for people of color to recognize that integration of our schools was not in the best interest of the black American. And fighting for civil rights to be able to go to the hotel, ride in the front of the bus, with the exception of the Voting Rights Act of 1964, we should have been focused on civil rights, not civil rights. When I say civil rights, I'm talking about the integration of us into the financial system of this country. How the black businesses were devastated by integration. I heard a guy from North Carolina, I can't recall his name right now, but he was saying that prior to integration, they had 500 buses moving black folk. Once integration kicked in, he had to compete with the white man who has vastly more resources than he had. So he had to go out of business. I came from North Carolina where we had our stores, we had our dry cleaners, we had our movies, we had our restaurants. We were almost stand alone. Believe it or not, we were stand alone. Now, I do have some good news. The black American professional, millennial, are electing to start their own businesses rather than working in corporate America. Now, that's a good sign. We need more of that. And working for someone should be transitory, not until you retire. You need cash flow. You need to build up some type of capital. So you're going to need to work, especially if you have a family. But you should be there should be a dual effort. Dual effort meaning you're working and you're working on your own business at the same time. That's what we need to do. Because at the end of the day, we have to create wealth. Do you know that on average, white people have 7 times more wealth than we do? You can attribute that to a lot of different factors, but on average, 7 times. That's the same as it was right after slavery. What have we gained? Wealth is the key to our success as a community. We need money. We don't need to be able to, go to their restaurants and, we don't need that right now. We need wealth that we can pass on to our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids. And you heard me talk about this so many times. But it's prolific. It's there. We have to tackle that. Until we tackle that, we're not going to advance as a people. Since integration, you can see a parallel in the decline of the black family unit. It was almost simultaneous. All right. And if you look at education, for instance, the teachers were black and cared about the well-being of our students. What's more, the line of communication between the teacher, the parent, the student was seamless. You did something wrong in school. By the time you got home, you were getting a beating because they had that line of communication. We policed ourselves, and we don't have that today because of integration. Another thing is, what happened to the school spirit that we had during that time? I know a lot of you may not remember the black schools and the black pride, the black parades, the Elks Parade. We had our own thing going in our town. What happened to that? We don't have that anymore. We had pride. We competed against each other. Each little town, black community competed with other little towns, black community. Whether that be academic, music, or sport. For those that can remember, we had rumor mills of those that didn't do well in school. And if you didn't do well, you were blasted out in the community as a dumbass. Your report card was bad, so you were embarrassed. You couldn't even walk out with your friends because they were gagging you. They were messing with you, saying, "Oh man, you're a dummy, man. Let me see your report card." And you were afraid to show it to them. And then you had to deal with your parents on top of that. I still want to stay on this topic of education because education is the foundation of our future. All right. Let's take, for instance, again, the segregation in the school. Did you know that the elite schools in New York City have gatekeepers? If you don't have any influence, you can't get into these schools. And who are getting into these schools? The white, the Orientals, the affluent. The affluent people are getting into these schools, not the black schools, not the blacks. The blacks are not getting into the school. Maybe one or two may, come through, but the majority are whites, Indian, Orientals. Blacks are placed at a disadvantage. Believe it or not, New York has some of the most segregated schools in the country. Now I'm talking New York City. What's missing? Is the funding required to identify as a black school? I think that's how we correct it. We need to have our black schools, but we need the proper funding so that we can educate our kids, that they will have the material. And this is trickled down to the black family unit and the care provided by the teacher to the student. This was the glue that promoted pride within the black community. Now we are just a number. We don't get it. We go to special ed when we don't get it, when we can't conform. That was not the case at one time. Yes, you're going to have slow people, but they were not stereotyped and sent to isolation and further, and after that, sent to the criminal justice system. Now, this pains me. This pains me. But we got to face it. You got to face the darkness. I believe that our kids should be educated from kindergarten through middle school by teachers that have a similar culture. This will provide the foundation for the assimilation of our folks into the global community. We have a saying on this show, guys. We must take care of our own because no one else will or should have to take care of us. Let's get away from that. A lot of this research came from The Root, New York Times, so I do want to give them credit. And also, I want to mention to you, some data that you may find boring, but data drives everything. It drives decisions. First off, going back to the education of our students, did you know that black educators have been decimated? And a study by the National Center for Educational Statistics found that among 3.3 million teachers in the American public elementary and secondary schools in 2012, where minority students are quickly becoming the majority, they were 82% white, 8% Hispanic, and 7% black, and about 2% Asian. So we had a loss of black teachers And this means that many students have lost contact with their first role model. As a Black educator, Kevin Gilbert told the Associated Press, and I quote, "Nothing can help motivate our students more than seeing success standing right in front of them. This lack of Black educators has meant that Black students are less valued in general. White teachers, typically women, who are educated in white neighborhoods and white universities, make up the majority of educators in minority classrooms. Some are fantastic, quality teachers, and a gift to all students, but many, and I mean many, are ill-equipped to meet the educational needs of Black students. And studies indicate that they treat Black children differently because they were raised different. You don't have to take what I say as face value. Just look around you people. You know, the reality tells the deed, tells what's going on with our people and how we are suffering. But the thing that really gets me, Walter Latham, is that our Black kids are suffering. That right there should just change the whole dynamic of our approach to what is going on in this country. We don't have to pay attention to Trump. Those guys, their time will pass. We have to focus on what we have to do to address our issue. With that said, I want to thank everyone for joining the Walt Weekly. This is Walter Latham. I am your host. Now, if you like this episode and you like the value that we are bringing, that we hope we are bringing to you, please hit that subscribe button. Regardless of the podcast platform that you're on, there's a way to hit that subscribe button. There's a way to like. There's a way to comment. And there's a way to share. I need you to do that, people, to keep us on air, to keep us bringing things that are valuable to your life. Because a lot of us are working too hard to think about it. So you can take 8 minutes and spend with us at your leisure, in your car, on the way to work, and still get the information that you need to survive in this world.
Thank you for joining the Walt Weekly. We can be found at Facebook, the Walt Weekly Podcast, Twitter, at Walt Weekly, Instagram, the Walt Weekly, and www.thewaltweekly.com. Please like, follow, and share.